Welcome. Good evening. Welcome to Now TV Canada at I Am Just Jen YouTube channel. I am Just Jen, your host, the writer, many wonderful things. But tonight we are going to talk about my Smallville reunion movie, Book One. We're going to focus on Chapter 11 for those of you that want to go over to my website at futureproductionsonline.com and order yourselves what's there to be able to read all of it. You may do so, so that when I make these little snippet episodes, you'll have an idea of where I am because you've read it, or you can follow along, which is even more fun. That being said, this is another episode of Let's Talk About Tom Welling. Specifically, we're going to be looking at the subject of receiving. Okay, so there's giving and there's receiving. There's lots of takers. There's lots of people that want, lots of people that need, lots of people that are happy to get whatever it is they're given, even when they have a surplus or an excess of things they don't really need. And so that's where we get like hoarding and all this other stuff, as we all know. So because of my life, and the fact that I've been in his life, his career, basically from the beginning, of like those pictures I posted the other day of my career, and my career started when I was a young girl. My relationships in my life with family, friends, and personal have gone weird, like just not normal. And no matter what I did, it never changed. I couldn't get it to get onto a path that would become normal, and have things like I see other people having that are happy, holding hands and whatnot. So you get to a point where you can observe certain things and notice when something isn't right and why and what it will take to solve the problem. So in this particular case, Al Ghul, when making the TV show Smallville, is a married man of more than 25 years, house full of kids, all grown up, left, whatever. Anyways, when he's producing and directing episodes, he's not thinking about Tom's personal life. He's got a job to do. He's thinking about work. He's not thinking about the abject thoughts, or the backdrop of what's missing from Clark's life and how to get that into Clark's life by thinking about what's wrong with Tom's life. Right? So Tom gives, and that's part of being an actor, performer, and he gave everything he had to this TV show for those 10 seasons, as much as he could give. There are some things he stayed reserved about, pulled back on, and rightfully so, because he had given enough and he hadn't received enough. He wasn't getting out of it what he should have been. And that left things in an awkward situation for him with Al, not knowing what to do or how to do it because he's not a psychology major. I kind of wish he could have gone to take some psychology because that would have helped him protect himself. Oh, Jeepers Creepers. I completely forgot to show you guys what I have. It's my own little Superman. So I'd like to get some of these made of my new characters, my Superwoman, and my unidentified super villain that comes from Argo. So back to what I'm saying with Al is it's not his job to fix those kinds of things, even if he had noticed. So the problem with Clark is he can't get anything given to him. He can't receive if Tom's not receiving. You can't be in a healthy relationship, whether in character on screen or in your personal life, if you don't know what love is, if you don't know how to recognize it, if you don't know how to feel it, if you're not receiving the things necessary to feel it. So I thought it was important to make this episode today on Valentine's Day for that very reason. That in spite of my being single for as long as I have been, I still write. And I still write romantic things. Romance is extremely important in our lives, in society, just as doing it is, as I'll put it politely. And so they kind of go hand in hand. If you don't get one part right, the other part's not going to work out right, right? Right. So you got to fix one problem in order to have the other one working. But throughout all of this time, I had learned as I got older after my divorce that if you don't treat yourself, if you don't do things for yourself and you're waiting for somebody else to come along and magically just be able to read your heart or your mind and just know what to do and do all these things for you romantically, you're crap out of luck. You could be waiting forever. You could die never having it. So it's not okay. Don't do that to yourself. Don't wait for somebody else to do it. Do it yourself. So in my 30s, I learned to take myself to go and get pedicures and manicures, right? I gave myself the experiences of going to get facials done. And I today bought this wonderful white rose to go with this episode. And it's probably the only time I've ever bought myself a rose. Oh, wait, maybe one other time. Many years ago when I was 17 in a Salisbury house or something. I was on an underage drunken stupor, sitting alone, single, wanting a boyfriend. Again, same problem. So maybe they just gave me the rose because they felt bad. But I haven't had a lot of roses. So this rose goes with tonight's episode for Clark because in all of the seasons I ever watched, now I have to say I never watched all of them. I'm a busy person. I'm actually living my life. I have a career and I work. And of course, I've moved around and I've had kids and those didn't get to stay with me and there was issues. So it's impossible to see all 10 seasons. Now, I held back on catching up, not just for my writing career, but because I had a personal goal. And that goal has now been obliterated because they're doing it as I live and breathe. So what I do know from what I watched with the Smallville show is that Clark didn't receive anything, right? Clark's never had one single white rose given to him on any Valentine Day ever. They did some birthday cake stuff, but everybody does the birthday cake thing. And the thing is, when do you stop? When does it become awkward? When do you say, that's okay, I'm too old now? Right? There's other ways to enjoy birthday without it having to do with cake. And so Valentine's has more to do with things than just what goes on in the bedroom. You have to build up to that, right? There's stages and steps to that. So I wanted to buy this rose today for Clark, for Kal'El, for Superman, because of his identity crisis, for never being able to be himself, for never being able to be honest, for never being able to be true, for never being able to live in the world and just be who he is, always having to wipe people's memories or having to fake or pretend, listening to Jonathan Kent's lies, telling him to keep secrets. And the magic of the white rose, and why I chose white. First of all, it's rare. There's a lot less of them. Literally, the last place I went to was the only place I found single white roses. And if you looked at the short videos, there was like literally only 3 in the pot container of them. And I literally had to figure out which one was in best condition. And this one. I wanted the one that would have the longest time to bloom. And so this one will bloom for some days now. And this bottle goes with the fantastical story that I started last Valentine's, which I started 2 weeks prior, writing romantic things in a succession to Valentine's, which I thought I'd have finished, but I've had no time to actually finish it. And here we are now, the next Valentine's over, and I haven't still got it done. And now I'm doing this around that. So here's to you, Clark. You have now been given one single white rose because the magic of this white rose is that instead of buying all the different color roses, you can put dye in the water, and whatever color you stick in there, the petals of the white rose will change color as it drinks up the water with dye. So you could like put in fresh color dye in fresh water every few days, and it will just change as it's drinking the water. And then it becomes your own original design and beautiful thing. So what Clark could do is literally take that advice. He can take the white rose and change the dye in the water after he sees color starting, and then keep doing that until the rose finishes becoming his version of perfect, right? The final copy of art. Um, so here's to Tom and hoping he learns to give to himself. Don't wait to receive. Give to yourself. Go buy yourself stuff like a single white rose and then do what I just wished Clark. And then you can do the Clark and be the Clark. Um, like, how is he supposed to want to fly in the suit if this kind of stuff hasn't happened for him? How does it happen for Clark? How do they feel that? How do they bring it together? So how can fans get mad at him that they waited 10 seasons for a perfect ending and not get one when he didn't get what he was needing? Nobody was directing or writing the right episodes. Nobody was taking the time to put all those pieces together in his personal life in order for him to be able to do that for Clark to become Kal-El, to be Superman, and feel the need to fly in the suit so everybody could see him for whatever reason behind that storyline would have been. And so there's still time for that because he held that back, saved himself, protected that. And also because it's a tight suit. You got to deal with problems to make sure everything is good before you landscape all that. So I'm just telling Tom, if you ever get the chance to watch this, and I assume you will, buy yourself a bracelet. Go get yourself a signet ring. Buy yourself a necklace. Take yourself to the barber for a haircut, a personal shave, or a cucumber facial. Get your hands and your feet done. Don't wait for somebody else to do all this romantic stuff for you, the poetry, the songs. Speaking of which, I'm going to read from the second book, which was not the book I sent to the TV show first. I just remembered that this book, The Day My Goldfish Died, was published a few years after that book I sent to Smallville. And it came back in the mail unopened. That's the nightmare that started everything. But this was in 2011. And I happen to have an actual poem at the very beginning of the book. It's short, but it's still a Valentine poem. So I'm going to do this for you, Tom, because it's the same thing as doing it for Clark, for Superman, and dealing with your identity crisis for you guys. It's called Dear Valentine. Dear Valentine, do you know how much I loved you? Do you know how much I cared? Do you know how much I hurt over what was wrong with me down there? Dear Valentine, do you know how much I loved you? Do you know how much I cared? You were my strawberry. Whew. That poem, as few sentences as it is very deep and layered. There's a lot going on in there. And if it had been on time, the work, the character between him and Clark and their identity crisis in becoming Kal-El and Superman, like literally where he could just drop the Clark and just be Cal and tell people just call me Cal the way I tell people my YouTube channels I'm just Jen. I don't want to have 1,000 YouTube channels with all the work I do. I can't do that, right? I just have one channel that answers the question that everybody asks when you meet somebody new all the time. What do you like to be called? Jen, Jenny, or Jennifer? Well, I haven't been a Jenny since I was 5 years old. So that's out. Take your pick between Jennifer and Jen. Generally, I just say to people, I'm just Jen. Just Jen. Jen is good. I'm fine with that. So I did the channel that way so that even though it's now TV, talking about all this stuff now, what's happening now, I can title everything under Now TV and it all fits because the YouTube channel stays at I Am Just Jen and it doesn't confuse anybody. They just come to I Am Just Jen and the host, me, and find the video they're looking for. So there would have been a lot of this stuff in the show at the Talon. on open mic nights and other events that could have gone on in Smallville. There could have been a special where we could have actually gone to New York to where there is an actual Talon. Well, actually, I don't know if it's still there because of COVID, but there was an actual Talon in New York. And so doing a special episode at the Talon in New York would have been really nice. I just observed today on the SkyTrain, reflecting on Tom leaving and going back to LA, that he failed to notice that he is really far away from Metropolis. Metropolis isn't over there. It's over here. And I drove by the sign. I mean, everybody goes by it. All of us go by Metropolis all the time here. And we're all thinking the same thing every time we see the name Metropolis. Metropolis Mall. Metrotown. Right? Where is Superman? Where is our Superman? Where's Clark? Where is the future, the answer to our superhero quest? With all the Oriental people that have come here over Godzilla and King Kong, is there going to be a crossover? Right? And how and where and which buildings are going to get destroyed in Metropolis and who's going to save us all? And there's something missing, something empty there. Because this stuff isn't being given, it's not being received, and it's not given to itself by reading stuff like this. If you're not getting it, then go find it, learn about it. I'm going to tell you, if you don't already know, Tom Welling comes from a family of artists. There are other people in his family that play music and make movies and paint. He plays guitar. But you never see him pull it out and do anything. He doesn't go on tour, write CDs, record anything. He hasn't got any published books because there's no inspiration there, because this stuff is missing. The receiving, whether giving to himself or being the one getting, because he won't tell anybody what he wants. He won't say that he actually wants. He won't say, I want to get something. Please give me something. And as the year goes on, he doesn't say, oh, that's nice. I like that. Right? It's like you either love me or you don't. You either know me or you don't. You either take the time to learn or you don't. And I'm not going to, sway on that. And it's just not realistic that people can read each other's minds and that stuff can be figured out. Sometimes you have to give a little. Right? So if you're doing stuff for yourself nicely, like I shared tonight, but I have the blue and the makeshift red candle, and I have my lavender cabin smoke that was going, and the rose in the fantastical bottle, hoping to inspire me for how to finish the story and what I'm reading tonight, so that even though I'm alone, I'm not alone. Right? And then making this for everybody. And, hopefully it gives a good feeling for the day for all of us that are single and those of us that are fans of superheroes and romance and rom-com. I'm going to read the very next piece on the next page of the same book, The Day My Goldfish Died. Happy ending. The kindness, the innocence, the honesty in their desires. Answers to which they shall not find without you on their mind. A happiness that must be disturbed, a police state around the world. How many know to give thanks for who saves them? I wish to cry about most everything because I cannot give them all a happy ending. Right? So you see the irony there? That even when you're writing stories, you can't always give a happy ending, but still there has to be an ending nonetheless. And so Smallville had to come to an end at some point because what went wrong and what was missing in the earlier seasons, where people started like, hey, this doesn't feel right. No, we don't like this. It's not working. It's time to throw tomatoes at the TV screen. No, you have to make the decision to do something about it, right? Because you can't figure out how to give everybody the happy ending they want, especially if a person's not budging or giving way on any of that. Trying to find one more love poem so I can leave it at that. Okay. I'm going to leave it at this one because it's kind of a big one, and then we'll go on to the movie script. This one's called Beautiful Poetry. I want to push you up against the wall and pound my hands against your chest, in showing you how much you're missed as I rush forward for your kiss. So many years of hunger living between lips, to never understand what we both missed. Our hearts at an age that were left at a standstill because of the view I wanted you to see when you looked at me. A whole new hope and glory in how to look at life. But that moment passed us both by, through an uncharted course that wasn't foreseen. Religion, paradise, and the Bible, what does it mean? The shine in my smile and the twinkle in your eyes. Eternity to look at each other is a long time. To walk the world over side by side. Never growing older. When we're together, age stands still. Holding hands, the sweat on your palms for a grip so strong, knowing we can't go wrong. Dancing in the summer heat, in the middle of the day on a busy city street. As we laugh at their smiles, before holding each other, our bodies really close, the warmth there, oh, so very real. I make it a habit to never get that close, for it always ends in abuse, so I never saw use. Maybe that was wrong when it came to you. For you are all there ever needed to be, so here I now stand marred, knowing there's nothing to compare to the love that lives in you. Now my imagination